Today, I'm going to talk about everything I do to get ready for the new year. 2020 is approaching fast, so I think it's always important to reset, refocus, and get ready for that new year. If you're interested in what 2019 looked like, my December newsletter recaps the entire year for you. Setting the goals for the new year is always a difficult thing. You can always think about big time goals, little goals. What I try to do is Scott Adams' approach. Now, Scott Adams is the creator of Dilbert, and he talks about systems over goals. So while goals are good to focus our mind, I think it's more important to set up that system. So if you're more interested in getting in better shape, or if you're more interested in acquiring some new knowledge, set up systems throughout your day, throughout your week, throughout your month that'll help you obtain what those goals would look like. Because when you set a goal and you don't accomplish it, it's a failure. But if you have a system and you continually work at the system, you will eventually lead to that goal you would have set. So I always try to do systems over goals. And I think one of the most important things is having that right mindset. Don't be afraid to think too big. One of the reoccurring themes I saw in 2019 is these people who are accomplishing good things and big things, they set these big, audacious goals. So think big. I think one of the best ways to relieve yourself of something that might have hindered you is to actually think about it, write it down, get it out of your head onto a piece of paper. That way you can really analyze it, look at it from different angles. A lot of times when something's just up in our head, it's really hard to think it through. So once it's down on paper, we can just have a more rational approach to it, understand it a little better. So I try to prompt myself with some big questions, ask what stressed me, what I got joy from, what I could be doing a little bit better, where I failed, where some successes were over the past year. And once I understand that, I can see where some of my blind spots and weaknesses are, and then that helps with the year going forward. The positive mindset is one of the hardest things, but I think it could be the most important thing. So the way I do that is with my framework around momentum breeds momentum. Don't look for some huge, big challenge that you want to succeed on. Think about the small little things you do each day. Get those little wins, pile them on top of each other, and once you start building that momentum with those little wins, I think that helps with the overall mindset. Well, I think if you don't reflect, you'll never be able to progress the way you want to. And I think it's really important to look not only at the good, but also at the bad. When you understand what you're not doing well, what you could do better, that helps you with really setting a clear path moving forward. So analyze your weaknesses, analyze your strengths, see what you can double down on in the strength department, understand what needs some work in the weaknesses, and then that helps you move forward. Remember, we're looking for just small incremental gains every single day, because a small incremental 1% improvement each day results in a 37x improvement over the course of the year. So we can get small little wins like this each day. At the end of the year, we're going to be in a much better spot. Because I think the most important thing is having that long-term mindset. If we just do things for the short term, that might seem good right then, but in the long term, it's going to really hurt us. So think about an easy example. That would be if I'm hungry, you might grab something unhealthy like a chocolate bar. But if you're thinking about the long-term approach, even though you're really hungry in that moment, you might grab a healthier option. So when you think about this in all elements of life, whether it's business, relationships, health, diet, exercise, all of those things, if you're thinking more long-term, it's going to help you make those better decisions in the now moment. Yeah, it's funny. I'm a big fan of Benjamin Franklin. I thought his biography was awesome. So I always look for things that stand the test of time. And he breaks down his 3 frameworks into healthy, wealthy, wise. And I think when you take those broad pillars, it's much easier to conceptualize that and not get overwhelmed. So I break it down: health, wealth, and wisdom. And so I just try to do a few little things in each one of those broad categories like Benjamin Franklin did. So whether it be wealth, and I'm just thinking about understanding my budget better, planning for the long term, breaking down my finances a little bit better. In health, I just pick a few big categories there. So overall diet, try to get as many healthy foods as possible. And then exercise, try to exercise regularly. Wisdom's another category I love because I'm always trying to compound my knowledge. And so that's a lot around reading, consuming new information, and then having conversations like I do in the podcast. So by breaking it down to healthy, wealthy whys, it's really easy to set obtainable structures to succeed in each one of those pillars. Yeah, I love Ramit's framework around having money dials. So those are the things that bring you the most amount of joy. You should be spending money on those, and don't spend on those frivolous things that don't bring you much joy. So for me, one of the things I eliminated is I really don't buy clothes. I go multiple years now without buying any clothes because they don't bring me much joy. But vacation and good food, I love those. So I'll spend a lot of money in those categories because I found they bring me the most amount of joy. Another thing Ramit talked about along with those money dials is not being able to spend on certain things. So for me, I always used to think about buying a new book, and I'd sit around for a month or two, and then maybe I'd buy it, maybe I wouldn't. What I do now is anytime I'm interested in the book, I buy it. I found that they've given me so much joy, so much more knowledge. So that's another thing I'll spend on. So I love his framework. Have your money dials, figure out what you really love to do, and spend a little bit more there, and then cut out the stuff that you can eliminate that doesn't bring you much joy. Yeah, great way to clear your mind is first, set yourself some free time to be able to think, conceptualize what's really going on in your life. That's why I love the end of the year. Hopefully you can carve out a few hours here and there to just sit back, think, reassess. Because what happens is, this happens to me all the time too, we get caught up in our business or whatever we're trying to accomplish. And each day we're just grinding away, and we're not thinking about the long term and some of those big obstacles or big successes we can really work on. So by sitting back, asking yourself some difficult questions, what I failed at, what I did well, what could I be doing better? What does this look like if I had anything in the world at my disposal to make this business better? And by asking yourself some big questions, sitting back, journaling on it, getting it out of your head onto paper, I think it makes it much easier to assess yourself moving forward. Saying no is one of those very difficult things, especially early on in your career. And I think early on in your career, you probably want to say yes to more things. That's something I did early on. I wanted to meet new people. I wanted to take advantage of new opportunities. But as I've gotten more established in my career, there's so many things vying for your time. And I think it's really important to understand what are those big things you can spend time on that bring you the most value, as opposed to just all those small little coffee meetings or those quick emails you need to respond to. When you eliminate some of those distractions, it helps you focus on those 1, 2, or 3 big things that are going to help you the most moving forward. So while saying no is incredibly difficult, especially early in your career, I think saying no has unbelievable benefits. Yeah, I think some of the biggest takeaways I've had first is thinking big. I think too many times we underestimate what we're capable of in the long term, so we think a little bit too small. Think big. Don't have those barriers. Just think as big as you possibly can. That's one of the things I really love to do, and it's really helped me just refocus myself. Another thing is saying no. A lot of these people do protect their time, so I found that really gives you a lot more to focus on those things that are really going to help you the most. So thinking big, saying no to things. Ramit Sethi's money dials is a very important thing. And then something else I tried to spend a lot of time on this past year, and I'm going to continue to moving forward, is understanding how I work best. So I took a lot of different personality tests, a lot of those tests that show you both with your relationships and then also business, work structure, how you operate. And once you understand what makes you tick, what an ideal environment looks like for you, it's much easier to succeed in those environments. That's something I put a lot of time to and plan on doing moving forward. I cannot thank you guys enough for all the support, all the listens, all the shares in 2019. I'm incredibly excited about what 2020 has in store. Some unbelievable interviews, more behind the scenes. And if you guys want to stay up to date on all those things, head to whatgotyouthere.com. Have a safe and happy start to your 2020.